with you, and the keys to that kingdom aren't in a man, a toy, or a finger. They lie within you.
I'm Aaron Michael, and this is Cervical Tales, stories of the everyday woman.
I'm with a longtime colleague and friend, fellow body worker, and there had been a discussion for a while around what is the potential of the cervix. Now, this is a person that loved to go to, still does, go to sacred sites, to be able to feel and experience the sort of vortexes that are around churches, that are around temples, and that are at these different geographic lines in the planet. Now, to give a little context to this story and what this has to do with the cervix and the temple that lies within you, I want you to know, first of all, she's in an open relationship. She has a partner as well as this new lover that has really started to bring about this new part of herself that she was just starting to go, you know what? I don't believe that between the relationship I have and this partner that there's really like any other experience that I could potentially have or desire. However, from that place, having a sort of embodied academic, nerdy curiosity, she's like, you know what? I would actually, though, however, like to do this experiment with you and figure out what happens with my cervix when someone is consciously bringing their cock to it. So I had spoken to a partner, also the lover, and both of them are very much okay with this and actually kind of curious to find out what happens. So I'm over there for the evening, have some dinner, discuss the different things that, we're wanting to look into. What are the boundaries? What are the curiosities? What are the desires? What is the purpose and intention of this meeting? Well, after we discussed this, then she says, I want to give my new lover a call. So she goes, gives this guy a call, and I must have waited for the better part of an hour, hour and a half. Just kind of like, okay, well, I'll prepare myself. So I'm stretching. I had actually had an injury to my own cock where there was a lot of scar tissue. And so I'm even wondering like, oh, if there's going to be a lot of sensation and pleasure, how am I going to be able to conduct all of this and hold it together? So eventually comes down, I've prepared my body, but to be honest, it's rather late at night. So I'm tired, I'm still digesting the food, and my own body is like, well, has this scar tissue, has this injury that I was still sort of in the middle of figuring out. Now I'm telling you all this because the secrets to the cervix do not have to do with the man. The point of this story is not about me, but actually about what was awakened and what she was able to awaken in herself. So we start off, and I am getting ready to go onto this mattress that had been set up for the space, and I actually ask, like, may I come onto the mattress? And she then says, well, if you want to. And I go, no, this isn't about me. Would you like me to come onto this mattress? And so then she goes, well, because my lover's not here, I suppose then you would do. And I was like, well, again, I paused and I said, would you like me to come onto this mattress? And again, she goes, well, you can, it's okay. And for a third time, I actually said, and I said their name, is it something that you desire? Is this what you desire? Because it needed to be known that this was actually something that she wanted. Because again, her mind was elsewhere and a longing for something else as opposed to meeting herself in that particular moment. And at that point, there was a settling, there was a deep eye contact, and there was, yes, please do. And the energy shifted in the room. I don't know how else to put it. So I come onto the mattress, go through different parts of like kind of getting the neck to relax, working with the stomach, working with her legs. Then she decided that she wanted to have some intravaginal de-armoring. So we worked with the vagina, worked with the outer part of we worked with like the introitus, we worked with the vulva, we worked with the vagina. We then started to work around the cervix. And at this point, there's something that's starting to like awaken and enliven in her. And we had discussed prior that she wanted to have a specific interaction with her cervix and a cock. Not my cock, a cock. And so at one point she goes, I would now like to try with the cock. So when I then approach, and I remember just waiting and breathing, and our breaths sync together. And I have been instructing her on how to breathe with this inhale expansion of the pelvic floor, this opening that starts to become rhythmic throughout the body, and a use of the voice. There was almost as if there was this toroidal energy that started to move between us, and we're not even in contact at this point. And she starts to then grab me with her hands onto my hips and then her legs, and slowly begins to bring me in, letting go, and then using actually just her pelvic floor to bring me in. And there was something amazing that happened. The second that the head of my cock or my penis or my vajra, which is a wand of light, touches her cervix, and I'm not even fully in, because at this point the cervix had come down to meet me, and it was this as if it had grabbed on, and I'm not moving very much, and in fact I'm hardly moving at all, but there was this thing that happened in her. I remember her eyes rolled back, her back arches, and she falls back into the mattress and starts to have these undulations moving through her. And so we then start to move, and she is using my cock to stimulate her cervix by continuing to move the hips, continuing to engage in this inhale push, and then starting to be matched by me as I then synchronize with her movement and start to do different ways of stimulating, pulsing into the cervix that are having these ripple effects throughout her body. Now, the incredible thing about this is this must have went on for probably 30, 40 minutes or so. However, it didn't take the 30 to 45 minutes that you always hear that a woman needs to be able to warm up her body, or to get used to the feeling of sex, or to go into these cervical states of transcendental orgasm. It happened when the penis met the cervix, and that happened because the cervix actually met the penis. And the interesting thing is, after having had this experience, there was a kind of a finishing point where I remember my penis just became limp, and then it was brought out. I don't know how else to put it, because it was as if it was just released from this temple, which is her body. And we both kind of paused, and then ended up having, I don't know if it was maybe an hour of just silence. But then the next day, when we spoke about it, I said, well, what was that experience like? Well, actually, no, it wasn't the next day. It was about 3 years later. I was hearing her on an interview speaking about the first cervical orgasm that she had had, or the first one in a long time. And she said that it was as if she had fallen back into this beautiful abyss, and this portal had opened up inside her, and she had reached the sacred place that brought so much sensation and energy and awakening inside her. Now, the thing that struck me as interesting here, and the point of this video, is that one, I was not the person she was in love with. I was not the ideal person that she would want to have as a lover. I was not the one that, her heart was fixated on. It was not the one that even her kind of lustier side or that new novelty of a relationship was focused on. In fact, she was very focused on the people that were already in that role in her life. In addition to that, it was her use of voice, her use of her pelvic floor, her use of her body that opened the heart and allowed for that meeting. And the piece that stuck out most with me is that for all of the travels of going to different sacred sites across the globe, the sacred site and the holiest of holies and the temple that opens the possibility to meet other temples is actually that temple, that place of holiness inside yourself. So yes, you can travel to other parts of the world to unlock other sacred portals, but that sacred portal is always with you. And the keys to that kingdom aren't in a man, a toy, or a finger. They lie within you, and they are you. So take the time to develop a relationship with your cervix, not as an other, but a part of yourself, an extension of your heart, and a portal into your own soul.